Well, we talked about Summer Bird acting up at the start, and once they made the decision to scratch Summer Bird, they took the horses out of the gate, and Zenyatta got a little bit unstuck, Ron. She was not too happy behind the gate.
Well, yeah, but then, and when she came out of the gate, I was a little bit worried because there really wasn't much of a pace on it. You know, for this quality of horses, they ended up going a very slow first half mile, and I was very concerned for Zenyatta that she was too far back. But Mike Smith obviously knows this mare to a T, and she was just loping along, biding her time. He did a great job all the way of saving ground around the turns.
Yeah, you just can't underestimate the combination of what you had here. Obviously, a great racehorse, terrific conditioner in John Sheriff's, and a Hall of Fame rider that all came together and for this perfect scenario. It's just remarkable to see it all come together like this. It's, you know, once in a lifetime situation. Yeah,
no question. And like I said, there was not much pace on in this race. For this quality of horse, 47 and change half mile is basically walking. So for her to close into this kind of pace with this quality of horses, it's pretty phenomenal. And she's going to do it with something left in the tank.
And how about the decision here, Ronnie? We can look at the head on here and we can see Mike back there. You know, he makes that classic move with her of circling the field, and then he made a decision. You know, he could have come out of this as being a bum if she would have got stopped in there and not got through, you know.
This is what makes Mike Smith so great and has that experience in these big races. I think he knew that Zenyatta couldn't give away the ground against colts that she does against the fillies. So he saves ground all the way around the turn and then has enough force to be able to swing through and weave his way through traffic. But there was no way that she could have gone outside of those horses and still made this this strong a run. So Mike Smith, what a tremendous job. She had a little hole here where she's going to get closed off, and then she still has enough left to rally on the outside. And you can still see those big old ears of hers kind of flipping around. She still, in my opinion, is not fully extended. This mare has just got such a beautiful, big, long stride and has so much ability that she is running very easily at the end.
I remember another 1.25 mile race where Mike Smith made that exact same move with the exact same ride to get up in time. Looks like the exact same path. Remember Giacomo?
Well, and as you know, the exact same silks.
Yeah,
of course,
exactly. Yeah. Well, the other thing about this, we said going in, and all the talk prior to the decision to be made about Zenyatta running in the classes as opposed to staying into the Ladies Classic, and I said going in, you know, I just don't know how. I know people's memories are short, and I just don't know how, if she comes out and she takes on this top field of handicapped horses for the first time, and those horses, at least a number of those principals, run their races, you know, and the race doesn't fall apart or whatever, and she beats them, I don't know how they can possibly keep her from being Horse of the Year. And trust me, nobody knows any better than I do what Rachel has done, and it's been amazing. But that performance today, I just don't know how you can keep it from her.
Well, Mr. B, I have been called a California homer because since Del Mar, I've been saying, let's not anoint Rachel Alexandra the Horse of the Year yet, because Zenyatta's not done. I had a feeling that she would try the boys in this race today, and I thought she was good enough to be able to beat them. But I've been told from the East Coast it's no way. But I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. People had to be impressed. This was the most, like I say, most awesome performance by a filly. First one to ever win a Breeders' Cup. She's undefeated. She's done everything she wanted. The only thing they keep coming back to saying is that she did it on synthetics. Well, who cares? I mean, she beat a good field. She beat Gioponte, who's a multiple Grade 1 winner.
He's actually a horse they've been putting in the conversation
of Horse
of the Year because he's been so consistent.
Right. But I'm telling you, there is a buzz here in Zenyatta, and like I said, if you weren't lucky enough to be here today, you really missed the treat, because I had chills. I don't get those very often. And this was very, very exciting day. And at least let the debate begin.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, you know, back in terms of this mare, you know, just meeting every challenge they put before her. You know, don't forget, and I think a lot of people have forgotten, one of her very best performances in this remarkable 14-win streak was when she ventured out and was asked to do something she had never done before, travel across the country, go down to Louisiana and face a good field, including the Breeders' Cup winner Ginger Punch, on a dirt track that she had never run before. That was one of her best performances, in my opinion. She handled that dirt track. She won by one of her biggest margins ever. And so all she's done is just keep meeting whatever challenge you put in front of her. And as you said, I was watching her too at the end. At the end of this race, she was looking for more. You know, she's just remarkable, just absolutely remarkable. And I've been privileged enough. I've been here, you know, you mentioned 20 years. I've been here close to 50, and I've been privileged to see some of the greatest perform out here. The spectacular bids and the round tables and the Gallant Mans and John Henrys and Native Diver and all of them. Great, great racehorses. I've never really seen too much like that. Like you said, with that performance and the reaction and the electricity in the stands, it was just a remarkable, remarkable event.
She has met every single challenge, there's no doubt about that. She had quite a bit of adversity in her way today, but of course with the perfect conditioning of her trainer John Sheriffs and the handling of the Mosses, and of course the expert guidance of Hall of Fame rider Mike Smith, Queen Z was able to persevere and make her way on through a huge field of contenders not trying to give her anything at any point. But she did make it through, and you mentioned she's had a lot of her success on synthetics, and she was able to leave and go to Oaklawn Park in Arkansas and make it happen over the dirt and beat the defending champion in the division at that time, which was a huge statement.
Exactly. And, you know, once again, I mean, we know how many Monday morning quarterbacks there are in this game and in all sports. I'm not just saying in this game. But there's also such a fine line in those split decisions that Mike Smith has made all along the way with this Philly. He's never made a mistake. You can be sure if he would have got stopped or blocked inside there and she would have been beaten, there would have been those saying, why didn't he take her outside? He takes her outside all the time. So after the fact, you know, it's easy to say, but he's done everything perfectly, as has John Sheriff, and as have the Mosses all along the way, and we applaud him.
Of course, more on this coming your way, but right now we've got to wrap up race number 10, the Oak Tree Derby. Prices out there for the folks who may have bet the 10th. Woo-hoo, love the 8. The usual QT and Victor Espinoza, outstanding job, and it's all about finding a horse in form. That was kind of a key angle for the entire 2 days of Breeders' Cup World Thoroughbred Championships, finding horses in good form. 8-9-4 wraps up a late pick 4 that pays more than $1,900. Coming up with more on your Breeders' Cup wrap-up after these messages. Wait a minute, where's everybody going? We haven't played Freebird yet. Hold on. You're going to miss the encore of Hey Jude. Seriously.
My father's somewhere stuck in there.
Well, he's going to wish he was back here on the set because we're about to have some fun. We continue with our Breeders' Cup wrap-up, and we bring our friend Paul LaDuca in to join the discussion. Now we have 3 distinct perspectives. Paul LaDuca, the athlete who understands what it's like to get ready for big days like today, and of course a big player himself and owner. Ron Ellis, who knows what it's like to train equine athletes for a big day like this. And of course the schooled and studied veteran handicapper that is Bob Bedecker, who knows about everything about big days like this. Let's kind of talk about everything that's happening with this big day. And Paul, you haven't had a chance to really chime in on your final thoughts for just the 2 days and of course today in particular.
I mean, it tops off with Zenyatta. You know, I said this earlier. I've been fortunate enough to play in a lot of arenas with a lot of fans out there. And today when Zenyatta was walking out in the post parade, I had the most goosebumps I've ever had. It's almost like owning the horse. And, you know, I lived out here for 4 or 5 years, had great years. The fans here were great to me. I went back. I live in New York now. And I was telling somebody, when I went to Saratoga, everybody said, hey, Paul, you're a West Coast guy. Why do you always talk about Zenyatta? Listen. Rachel Alexandra is one of the best fillies I've ever seen. But if this horse didn't stamp herself as one of the best mares ever to run, and if you guys out there think that Rachel Alexandra will run her off the track, you're nuts. And and here's another thing too. John Sheriffs has gone on record saying he doesn't even like synthetics, that she might be better on conventional dirt. I'll tell you right now, the field she beat today, think about what she beat. She beat a Kentucky Derby winner, a Belmont winner, Giaponte, who won 5 Grade 1. Girolamo, who I think's got a ton of talent, run dead last. I think he's a better conventional dirt horse. I mean, the field she beat, you can go on and argue. You can go on Colonel John, Travers winner of last year. You can argue it's one of the best fields maybe of all time in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
We'll leave that for a discussion later. But at this moment, we do have to say that you're absolutely right. It was a fantastic performance, and we hope it earns her some respect. We want to go also talk about class that showed up in a big, big way. And the other filly that was the star of the show was your defending champion in the TVG Breeders' Cup Mile over the turf course, the one and only Goldakova. And today was all about champions overcoming adversity. And she had her fair share today as she took to the turf course to take on 10 other contenders and defend her title. Here it is, the TVG Breeders' Cup Mile over the turf.